Hey everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Buddy Study Group. And today we're going to be talking about referral partners. So, as a long-term care specialist, how do we meet more referral partners? What kind of referral partners are a good match? How do we work with referral partners? And in general, hopefully, this is good inspiration for you to go out and find more centers of influence, more referral partners to be able to work with, to expand your business, to be able to meet more people and create good outcomes for them. We all want to help more families at the end of the day, and referral partners are one of the key ways that we can do that. So, as we're kind of going through the presentation today, definitely feel free to share in the chat or by unmuting. We can have a, conversational sort of study group here too. What works for you in finding referral partners or how you work with your referral partners if you think it's a sort of teachable moment for everybody on the call. Happy to hear from you and what your best practices are. So, I think the reason that I wanted to have this session, we've had it before, it was generally very well received, but like I said, I want people to be able to meet more families, help more families with extended care planning, and so on and so forth. But I think in general, long-term care is a super, super great industry to find referral partners for if you're a specialist. And vice versa, if you are a financial professional who doesn't work much in long-term care, I think long-term care is a super good industry or business to refer out to a trusted specialist. And there's really a number of reasons for that. And, in going through these reasons, I think you'll figure out why each prospective referral partner you may have wants to refer out long-term care. I think it's a question that you should always ask. But I think when we kind of go through some of the common answers that we get from referral partners that we have, it starts to make sense as to why long-term care and referring out or having referral partners is a match made in heaven. So. Number one, long-term care is a full-time job. You guys know that. Working in individual long-term care is a heck of a lot of work when you consider, the length of the sales cycle. First and foremost, we see an average of 6 to 18 months from the time somebody raises their hand to the time they actually go forward with some sort of long-term care solution. People generally don't have the time to kind of sit and walk these cases through a sales cycle of that size. So you may hear somebody say, well, I want to refer out my clients who are asking about long-term care because I'm busy. I don't have the time to be able to address long-term care like others do. But also, many financial professionals, and we've talked about this on other calls, be it about working with financial advisors or otherwise, they feel as if they're not educated enough to hold the full conversation or navigate the client all the way through. So it could be a lack of time, but that lack of time could also be speaking to, I still need to get further educated to be able to work better with long-term care, and I just don't have the time to do that. So I want a trusted person in my corner to be able to help me out with those cases. Long-term care is also tough to close. We talked about that sales cycle length. There is some persistence required. There is some dialing in of the coverage that's required. In some cases, folks may come in with stigmas that you have to overcome. Folks may come in with, I can self-fund, and you kind of have to show them the value proposition and give them um, that kind of self-funding versus long-term care story. It is a quite a sail to have to navigate. Um, no, Mark, I'm not running any visuals right now. Just speaking to the people. But I think one of the biggest reasons why folks want to refer out their long-term care is I don't want to get my hands dirty with underwriting. Underwriting is super, super involved, and either I'm in a profession where I don't normally handle that intimate sort of health conversation with my clients, or I work in other lines of insurance where underwriting is a bit more stripped down, maybe only financial in nature. I'm not going so deep into my client's health history to really get enough information that an underwriter would need in order to be able to make a decision or a consideration on the client. So I would rather not handle that piece. I would rather refer that out. So I think when you look at those reasons, it's a really good match to be a long-term care specialist and have kind of a group of referral partners that you kind of have in your network um, who can really take advantage of your services, right? But feel free to volunteer any other sort of frequent reasons you hear for people referring long-term care, but I seem to see those as kind of the most common. And also feel free to volunteer who you think are good matches for referral partners. I have a few. Number one, and like number one by a long shot, is financial advisors, financial planners, CFPs, wealth managers. Those are the most perfect referrals you could have for long-term care. Number one, you're going to have the opportunity to meet with affluent clients who you know are financially pre-qualified. Number two, the advisor, planner, wealth manager can help you find the premium dollars. Doesn't always have to come out of income. Financial planner may be working with them on annuity products, on other life products that, you know, really don't have a sort of goal or earmark anymore that you can use to repurpose for certain long-term care plans. Um, I think the advisor just so intimately knows the client's financial situation that they can actually help you with that side of things, which tends to be a bit more difficult if you're just a pure long-term care specialist. But I think also, especially from financial planners, more fiduciary types, but to all sorts of financial advisors, they tend to have the implicit trust of the client more than other referral partners that I've seen. And you have a higher chance of that client generally turning to the advisor for just about everything in the financial world. I know for us, some of our biggest roadblocks can actually be the existence of a financial advisor who assures a client that they can self-fund and therefore they don't need to speak to a long-term care specialist. But if you can break down that wall, have that conversation with the advisor, and get them to understand how self-funding's only a piece of an incomplete long-term care plan, um, and get them to understand that if a client goes on extended care and doesn't have any long-term care coverage, the first thing they're coming for is the assets under management to help fund that long-term care. You can really help the advisor understand that it's in the client's best interest because long-term care insurance generally constitutes a good deal against self-funding, but it's also in the advisor's best interest to keep those assets under management intact, right? And have a bucket that is sitting there purely for long-term care costs, right? So I won't, broken record this piece, but financial advisors, financial planners, wealth managers, to me, are the absolute number one referral source because if you can educate that advisor on the importance of long-term care planning in a financial plan, or if they are already aware of it, you're going to get connected to some affluent clients with implicit trust of their advisor who make that referral bridge nice and easy and can help you with some of the financial fact finding and premium allocation pieces. But I also think beyond just pure financial advisors, other financial professionals in general are great referral partners. So maybe even some financial professionals who work in lines that you do not work in who do not work in long-term care. So I think, um, be it life insurance professionals, DI professionals, especially DI and long-term care have some really, really nice crossover in what they do, how they cover clients. DI, if you are out of work, will keep that income coming through the door. But if your disability also requires long-term care services, that's a separate pool of money that's kind of coming in to accompany that replaced income and really make a robust lifestyle protection, right? So I think DI advisors are a really good pairing. PNC folks are also a pretty good pairing, but it takes some education on the part of the referral partner to help them sort of understand, um, you know, what the long-term care game is all about. PNC tends to be a bit more transactional. Sometimes they're dealing in products that are really compulsory, right? The client needs to have it, so they're kind of purveying rather than having to sell somebody something that there's a need for, but maybe not necessarily a want or requirement, so to speak, to have. So I think there's some education that needs to be done there, but you have folks who generally don't um, want to go as deep into certain sales, go as deep into health underwriting that you can be a really good pairing for. We partner with a PNC organization or two, and those tend to be very good matches. Um, I also think certain caregiving organizations, certain care organizations can be good partnerships, but of course not for the current clients of that home health franchise or that assisted living facility, right? Maybe it's to build the bridge to those adult children of those who are currently in the facility to provide that education on long-term care planning so that they can more efficiently fund the care that their parents may be receiving in that facility. I think the folks who run those facilities generally get it, are open to the presence of a long-term care planning professional because at the end of the day, you help folks to get that long-term care funding that will fund the care that those facilities are giving. So I think that tends to be a good partnership. Does anybody else have any other referral partner sources that they seem to do very well in or that they think are teachable? Yeah, I think you should go after. Those tend to be kind of like my top three. And maybe they're pretty obvious, but I think the reasoning can kind of help you lean into that if you make an approach to those individuals. So I would say financial planners and advisors. I would say, um, facilities or home health organizations or franchises. And I would say other tangential financial professionals who maybe work in other lines of insurance or other areas of finance. Feel free to volunteer if you have any others, but those are my big ones. Now, all well and good. I may be saying absolutely nothing new to you throughout this presentation. Who are the good matches? Well, I already knew who the good matches were. I have the kind of same perceived good matches in mind. I know that long-term care is a pretty tough business to work in, and many folks don't want to get their hands dirty with what I get my hands dirty with every single day. So understanding that when we actually have a new referral partner, I think it's worth discussing how do we make the most of that relationship. And I think the first thing is really trying to get your referral partner to understand that long-term care planning, just like any other planning they may do or any other work they do with their clients, is a proactive conversation more than it is a reactive conversation, right? Because we deal with health underwriting. We deal with one day you may wake up and not be insurable anymore. You may not have a product fit. So we really need to start planting the seeds as early as possible. Oh, Robert, I really like that. Estate planning attorneys also a very good look, and I think certain attorneys in general tend to be pretty good pairings. Elder law attorneys also pretty good pairings because they work in the industry and can also be a really valuable knowledge source to you to refer to when you get any complicated long-term care questions. So thank you for volunteering that. I like that. Um,
Fifty Island and Birch to table.
Okay, so we are trying to get our referral partners to understand that long-term care is a proactive conversation and not reactive, first and foremost. So with your clients you're meeting, you should at least bring it up, and I should at least arm you with some talking points to be able to introduce long-term care planning into the conversation. I think that is so, so important. Referring to me, you don't need to know absolutely everything about the world of long-term care and long-term care planning, but you need to be able to introduce it and introduce why it's important and understand so your client can understand why you're bringing this up in conversation, right? Even if it's as simple as saying, this is another very important piece of retirement planning, which obviously we're working toward as your advisor, right? So we're building up all of these assets so that you can have the wonderful retirement you've always dreamed of. And it's also about kind of plugging the holes that could really cause leaks in this retirement plan, right? Um, Even something as simple as that, explaining why you're bringing up the long-term care conversation can really, really help. So I think a little education goes a super long way with a referral partner. Sometimes they even want to just like, do you have a cue card I can read off of just to introduce this? And I'll introduce it on every single meeting, right? But I also let's see, Robert in the chat. That's the hardest part for me is how is the best way to bring it up without just sounding like an insurance salesman. Yeah, I mean, it definitely takes some practice. It definitely takes kind of finding and understanding your own voice. I think sharing a personal story really helps, and I think you'll find really good referral partners in professionals of any sort who meet with clients on a regular basis who have been through some sort of long-term care event really helps to break the ice by just sharing a personal story of how you've experienced long-term care front and center. And that can kind of transition you into this is why we're having this conversation. This is why I think it's important for me to bring this up to you. And I have a trusted expert with me on my team. I think framing of the relationship is also super important when you're speaking to referral partners. So talk through that with them. Um, Many financial planners, I think, benefit from referring to you as an extension of their team. If that's something that you're okay with, I'm a long-term care expert who's an extension of so-and-so advisor's team, and I'm here to provide you just some education into long-term care planning. That can really help, but I think where referral partnerships can kind of struggle is when these things aren't communicated in advance. So we've got a live one, and it's like, oh, what do I do? How do I introduce myself? How do I tell them about why I'm here. I don't want to just say like I'm a referral partner. He sends me all his leads and cool. I knock them out. But you really want to kind of practice that. Chris says, I'm in a BNI group and in the process of starting a senior care questions group in my area. I think that's awesome. I think that's a really good way to kind of generate some organic leads, but also you can get some financial professionals invited to that, as well. So it's an awesome opportunity for networking. So I think, yeah, any sort of networking event you can kind of take charge of and put together and help with the education on is a plus. But I think one of the best ways to kind of set up a partnership is, again, make it as easy as possible for the referral partner to refer business to you. So there's a couple of ways to do that. If it becomes a super clunky process to make this handoff and the referral partner's got like all these responsibilities, I gotta check this, check that, it's not going to work out as well. Uh, you know, when your referral partner's meeting with their client, they have enough to discuss on their plate already. It should be a 2 to 3 minute handoff. And I think one of the ways to do that is to allow your referral partner off the meeting with the client to, um, submit a form. We're big forms people, Buddy Ines, so having an intake form for referral partners so that they can pass along information about their client to you so that you can reach out to them and start planning. I think that's a super path of least resistance way to be able to make that handoff, but also you can make the education, the pre-education much easier for your referral partner as well. I think the best thing you could do for a referral partnership, and I know Linda Tallheimer, who's done some presentations for us, a lot of presentations for us, has been a big advocate of this too. Record a 5-minute video with the referral partner. You and them on Zoom record a quick 5-minute video where the referral partner introduces you as the trusted long-term care specialist, and you introduce yourself, your background in the industry, what got you into long-term care, and some of the things that you're going to discuss when planning with each client, right? So now it becomes this thing of, okay, I don't have to remember all this stuff in my head that my long-term care specialist told me to say. All I have to remember is to whip out the video, play a quick 5-minute video, and say, I'm going to introduce you to Jason by email, and he'll reach out to you to talk about long-term care planning. You know, whether it's something you feel the need to do now right away, or it's sometime in the future, this is my trusted expert to work with, right? So the more kind of dress rehearsals you have around kind of that referral, and the more you kind of have the structure of the relationship and how you're naming everything and what the process is, the more process items you have checked off the list ahead of time for the referral partner, and the more those items are easy for the referral partner to go through, the better chance you're going to have in making that relationship successful, right? You're going to have more pre-educated clients. You're going to have clients who have seen your face, heard you talk, understand that I've been in the long-term care industry 25 years or however many years it is, understand your story, your passion for long-term care, and to maybe know a couple of bullet points you're going to talk about on the first call, right? We're gonna go through a few health questions to make sure that I can find the right options for you based on health, because these are health underwritten products. But we're also going to talk about just your history with long-term care. We're going to do some education on what long-term care planning looks like today. Um, Pre-educated clients make all the difference in making those handoffs good ones, because I think the worst way to have it sort of end up is that, yeah, I'll send you my leads, and then there's just like haphazard passing off of leads, or clients come to you and they're completely uneducated, like not even in the slightest bit have they been introduced to long-term care. Not that that's the end of the world, but you're starting from zero with every referral. When you have the opportunity to impart some education on that referral partner, do a quick introductory video so they just have to click play, and you have a bit more of a pre-educated client. I know how this is all going to go because I watched the video in my advisor's office, right? So I think those things that you can do to build the bridge are huge. Um, and yeah, Chris, to your point in the chat, keep the form short. You're the professional who's going to be gathering a lot of the information on the call with the client anyway. So even if it's as simple as name, email, phone number, and not too much more than that, what state do you live in, right? You can collect the rest, maybe an age, but you can collect the rest when you're able to meet with the client. All you really need is the ability to reach out to them, start that dialogue, and they need to know who you are. And hopefully their trusted advisor does a really good job, or whoever they're working with does a really, really good job of just making that introduction. So there's training your referral partner, but I also think keeping the relationship strong, not only does it need to be easy to refer to you, but regardless of results, how well you keep that referral partner in the loop is definitely going to make or break how long that relationship lasts, or how strong the relationship is, or will you continue to get more referrals, right? If they feel like they are just referring business off into this like bottomless pit, okay, see you later. Like if they feel like they're not going to get any updates, that relationship will not last long. And there's a few reasons for that. I mean, it's hard enough to secure a very trusted referral partner and lead source because we're in this business too. We're in a relationship-based business where it's all about building a client base and holding on to those clients, right? So there's a lot of paranoia, understandably so, that if I refer business out to X, Y, or Z place, or if I don't have my bases covered for X, Y, or Z product, my client's gonna wander down the street and find something shiny in another window and walk right into another store, right? And get their services from somebody else. Or there's something that I could have offered or could have offered on behalf of it, you know, with the help of a referral partner, and I just kind of like let that business go. So there's a lot of paranoia around that. So obviously, when you refer business out, you all, I'm sure, would be the same way. You would want pretty constant updates, even if there are no updates from the referral partner. So there are some automated ways you can do this. We at Buddy INS utilize some automated reporting because we deal with large and small referral partners, but especially when we're getting a lot of leads coming in, the ability to kind of report on things automatically is really, really helpful. But even, hey, I tried contacting the client, didn't hear from them. I'll give them another try tomorrow. Something as simple as that. Hey, the application's in underwriting. We expect probably 4 to 8 weeks for the application and decision to kind of come back to us. Just wanted to make sure you were aware. Hey, I met with this client. You may not want, another thing is communicating how much do you want to know about the underwriting situation, right? Because some say I am completely allergic to my client's health info, but you could keep it as simple as, hey, there was something in the underwriting, that we got to go back and get clarification on. Um, I'm not sure how this will, factor into what underwriting says about the case. But if we're declined for some reason, we'll pivot to another option, and I'll keep you abreast of that, right? Communicating updates, even if there aren't really any substantial updates, communicates to the referral partner, hey, I'm here, I'm involved every step of the way, and more importantly, because I appreciate you referring your clients to me, I am reciprocating that appreciation by keeping you involved in every single step of this process. And when I'm speaking to the client, I'm keeping your name in the conversation. When I send correspondence to the client, I'm copying you on those communications if you'd like to be, because yes, I'm coming in to help the client with one piece of their overall financial plan, but I want them to remember who their trusted advisor is. I want them to remember this all revolves around their relationship with you. I'm an extension of your team and I'm going to treat it that way. So I really think it does kind of take that initial conversation. It can't just be kind of, oh yeah, let's fling leads back and forth and let's see how it turns out. It really needs to be a conversation where you can communicate how seriously you take the referral partnership and how seriously you take creating good outcomes for the client. And how much you want the referral partner to easily be able to create good outcomes and just making the handoff, right? Because yes, they trust you implicitly, but you want to have something to provide to build that bridge in a simple way. So I think the more communication you can have with referral partners, the better, the more good questions you ask about how to actually organize the partnership, the better. And kind of the more path of least resistance, tech-enabled solutions you can offer, which are not sophisticated, right? Recording a 5-minute video is not sophisticated, but it is tech-enabled, it is super efficient, and it keeps your referral partner from having to remember all of these things to bring up. They just got to remember to press play, right? Filling out a form is not very sophisticated if you've got 4 fields, right? But at the end of the day, it shows a little bit of organization on your side, right? It does show that you're trying to stay organized and preserve the information and make the most of the handoff, right? Reporting back to people, again, just shows that layer of appreciation. So hopefully, kind of going through some of those things not only helps you to be a better specialist as far as folks referring their leads to you, but also if you refer leads or clients out to others, that can help you both ways, right? So, those are a couple of my best practices. As far as meeting more referral partners go, I think number one, Chris kind of hit it with B&I groups can be a great place to network. Oftentimes, if somebody is like, if you mention you're a long-term care specialist, I specialize in this, right? And you're in front of the right person, they'll say, "Oh, I've been looking for somebody to refer long-term care to because I had two clients ask me in the last month and I'm scared to death of the conversation. I don't know what to do with my hands when somebody says long-term care, right? If somebody is really looking for that specialist to be matched up with, you'll know and you'll know exactly, kind of what piece of this they're really worried about as far as conducting a conversation with their own clients. Um, so I think those networking groups are a great place to meet folks, especially one that's a bit more specialized, like you were talking about, Chris, senior care questions group. I think that's super good. I also think, like even Facebook and LinkedIn groups can be super, super helpful, um, even if you keep it local, right? Like, nobody is going to be upset with the presence of a Tampa, Florida senior care questions Facebook group, right? Building those small kind of local silo groups can really help, right? You're kind of just casting that net. And what those groups do is it really allows you to show your expertise, right? It allows you to answer questions and do some service to the community, but it also helps you create opportunities, right? A little bit selfishly at the end of the day. I also think creating content in general online is, super, super important in this day and age, right? Um, LinkedIn posts, tiny minute long vignettes, right, around certain pieces of long-term care planning. You never know when one piece of content is just going to hit the right person the right way and say that this person knows their stuff, right? I'm going to reach out to this person because I think this person could help my clients with long-term care, right? Um, you know, something along the lines of a buddy study group, right? I mean, we did this, obviously to serve the community of long-term care specialists out there and other financial professionals who are looking to learn more about long-term care. But there have been plenty of connections made from this study group and the agenda and the recordings that go out. Um, any little Friday email, like Diane has a Friday email that she sends to her clients. Anything around just like 30 seconds on long-term care planning for an email that goes out every Friday. Any little piece of content really helps demonstrate that you're an expert and that you are referable, right? So I think those are some of the top ways to kind of go seek out financial financial planners or other sorts of referral partners, conferences, right? If your BGA or IMO has an annual conference or there's a conference out there that really interests you, go. And these apps are getting very advanced nowadays. They have attendee lists of basically everybody who's in attendance at the conference. You can generally message people within the app and say, "Hey, I'm a long-term care specialist. I'm just looking to meet more financial professionals. Can we meet in the meeting area for 5 minutes?" A lot of places now you can just slap your badge against somebody else's and it just automatically connects your contact information, right? Those are easy ways to go out and make connections, and then how you make the follow-ups after the conference is really going to determine if you walk away with a new referral partner connection or not, right? So I think getting out there, but also putting your expertise out there, helping people understand that long-term care is quite a complicated process that needs a trusted specialist to be able to work with is the first step. Um, and from there, I think the rest is just being consistent, putting your messaging out there, helping existing referral partners so well that they want to refer you to other people in their network who could also use a trusted long-term care specialist. Now you've got referral partners referring referral partners for referrals, and it just doesn't stop. So I hope you guys found that to be a good summary in general. Like, why is long-term care a good match for referral partnerships? Who are the best referral partners? How do we make those relationships really happen? Like, it's one thing to have them, but how do we make them strong? And how do we make them last? And then how to actually go out and meet referral partners. But I'm interested in hearing from you all if you have any little tips and tricks that you use with referral partners to make that connection or things that have helped you find more referral partners. I would really love to hear from you all on best practices because I know some of you have done a very good job of building up your network or are in the middle of doing that. So if you have anything that you think the group could learn from, I would be happy to hear from you all.
Jason, I got a question. Is PNC agents? Did you talk about PNC agents, and if so,
I did,
thoughts on?
yeah. Yeah, so thoughts there is it takes a bit more education than the average referral partner to work with PNC agents, but they can be a great match if you can um, really get them to understand the differences in what you do, right? Because PNC agents fundamentally work in a bit more transactional products,
Yep.
number one. Number two, some of the products they work with are outright compulsory, right?
Yeah.
When you think about car insurance or homeowners, um, and maybe not required but customary, right? So they're used to a pretty easy sale, or in some cases, they understand specialties, right? But their sales don't go into health underwriting as much as they might go into financial underwriting. So I think what you need to get them to understand is long-term care is a totally different beast and it requires some nurturing. And it's not going to be when this person steps into my office, they're going to step out with a plan. And as long as they are understanding of that, I think the PNC side and again, this is not representative of the whole industry, but I think there tend to be a bit more reactive um, PNC folks out there. So you have to get them to understand what the proactive sale looks like, what a more drawn out sales cycle looks like. And if you can get through to them, not all of them will be a match, but there are some good ones out there, 100%.
I was thinking particularly of the PNC agents, like your captive guys, right? You're like your State
Yep.
Farms, your Country Insurance. I was just doing I mean, it looks like State Farm offers long-term care attached to a life insurance contract. Just doing a
Yep.
quick little chat GPT search. And so looking at specific types of PNC, the main captive guys to me makes sense. And here's one thing I was thinking about what you were saying is if they wanted to do a referral, then have the two of us do a joint video together, right? So we got the iPhone out, I'm sitting at his desk or whatever, and we talk about the three or four things we need to know, and it's a joint video so they see both of us on the video. Take that video and put it on a landing page for them, right?
Yeah.
Put a landing page and that form you were talking about, put the form on there too, put your Calendly, and every single, in this case, a PNC agent would get their own landing page. Not a big deal.
Yeah, I think that's a great
So
way to do
nice.
any referral relationship is like if they can see you ahead of time and hear you talk and hear your story and say, "Hey, all right, this guy's not too bad. I'll meet with him," right?
Well,
Or,
it's both the PNC agent and myself on the
yeah.
same video together, sitting behind his desk, right? So it's
Yeah,
like,
and
hey,
somebody I know very well and work with all the time is is trusting this person, right? So,
Yeah.
um,
And then that PNC agent then gets that link, which is specific landing page for him. If it's a,
right.
if it's a, so every PNC agent, so you're putting the effort in to say, you know what, you're my referral partner. Here's your landing page.
Yeah, you do the upfront work so that ongoing, you are just dropping a link into an email or you're press
Yep.
and play on a video that's sitting there on the desk, right? I think that's one of the best ways to run it. Adele says, I have a farmer's agent and they have their own long-term care policy, so he's hesitant to refer. So, any suggestions on how to build a partnership? I think helping those agents understand that there are 7 different types of long-term care plans out there and understanding that not everything is a one size fits all. Now, I understand the captive world. I came from there. I grew up there, got a lot of good training there, but there are plenty of incentives to shoehorn a product. But what if I told you that not everybody will be a fit for your product, even those that you will try to work with, and they may be stopped at the door or it may not be a fit? They're better served by some other long-term care product, or I have a product that can actually, accommodate them from an underwriting perspective. Why let that business go somewhere else? Why let that client go down the street and find that from someone else, right? We can kind of build that path for, whatever we can't help you with the proprietary product, and I can help you fill in the gaps. I think that's one of the ways I would handle that conversation. Let's see. Best way to approach potential referral sources. In person is best for sure. Absolutely. I think people being able to see you, all of you, legs and all, and really understand from a personal, speaking in person, body language sort of perspective, what kind of person you are. That just goes a super long way. Zoom is probably second best. Um, Again, I think there's a body language, facial language element there that you can really, put forth a lot of work into building that relationship and kind of selling yourself, so to speak. Um, Phone, email, drop in. I think, even LinkedIn Messenger. Mark's pretty good with LinkedIn Messenger. That man can do a heck of a lot with LinkedIn Messenger. I think that kind of live back and forth typing is a little bit more connected. Email can be a little bit disjointed. It can get lost in the rest of the inbox. So I think messaging on, say, LinkedIn can actually make a lot of really good outcomes happen. Phone's a good one too. At the end of the day, make a connection. And no matter how you start, I would work it up to Zoom or in person if you can, right? That's that's going to be most helpful. Chris said, I posted on Facebook the other day that I was looking for estate planning lawyers in my area and had 7 message me. I called each and 3 qualified to take the conversation further, meeting with one on Thursday. I mean, that's it, right? Cast a wide net, and you're in control of which relationships you actually take on and not. First of all, you guys got to remember that being a long-term care specialist, you are super, super valuable. Like I said in the beginning of the presentation, long-term care planning is hard. If you didn't come into this industry, working with long-term care, right? And even if you're new, you're feeling this, right? It's like, wow, there's a lot to this, right? So you are referable. And just understanding that when you're doing the outreach and having that belief in yourself, trust me that that carries over when you're talking to somebody new at the end of the day. Let's see. Work personal lines, brokers usually wealthy, have a few key employees, PNC agents. Yeah, I think those are really great sources, Gail. I think just tangential financial professionals, they understand the nature of a referral and prospecting business first and foremost, and they understand the power of having a client in front of you and making a good referral to another professional. That goes back to them in way of trust gained further with their client relationship. Diane, do you have something to add?
Yeah, I had a couple things I was thinking of. One is if you're talking with a captive agent that has their own product, like somebody was saying, um, have a conversation with them because I can only sell one product and my client is going to end up getting declined, I really destroy their opportunity to be able to look at other products that might have been acceptable. So don't just do an application because you want to do an application. If it's not in the client's best interest, you're better off having a specialist that has all those 7 different options available.
Yeah, one and dones can really jettison a
Yep,
case.
it limits people so much. And then the other thing is after you are starting this relationship with these other agents and people, the teaching them how the referrals worked or didn't work is going to continue to help them to be better referrers. Because so many times the first 2 or 3 of them you're getting don't have any money, or they're in a position to where they have way too much debt or way too many other obligations. And I know a lot of times we don't want to ask all these questions, but you have to be able to teach the agents who is the person that's most likely going to be benefiting from meeting with a specialist.
100%. Nailed it. Were those the, was that
The
all you
key
had?
things. Yep.
Perfect. Yeah, yeah, I think you nailed it. Helping them understand who of their clients are the good referrals, and why. It's not like I'm discriminating because I want to gobble up all the good clients for myself. But I mean, if you have somebody who's not suitable for this conversation and you bring them into this conversation, well, that can backfire. It's like, did you actually do the due diligence ahead of time to understand that I wasn't right for this? Or,
Right.
even though it's nothing personal and Diane conducted herself very professionally as we went through this conversation, it's still kind of embarrassing to me to find out that I shouldn't have been in this conversation because of financial means or something else
Right.
of that nature, right? So
Or
I
she
think
only
that's
uses a
huge.
walker sometimes.
Yeah, right,
You know,
right.
the agents that aren't in long-term care have to understand that you can't you can't just refer people. The only, I had someone referred to me that only uses a walker sometimes, and the only thing available for her would be a single premium long-term care annuity, and she didn't have the money to do that. So she was upset that she couldn't get anything, and that could have messed up with the relationship she had with this agent that referred her to me. So you gotta just be acknowledgeable of what it is you're referring and who fits.
And noting with the referral partner pieces of your process that are meant to screen for some of these things,
Hmm.
right? And maybe that's what you include in your 5-minute primer video. Hey, we have to figure out if you're a good candidate first. We'll send a Diane will send a pre-qual form out to you to find out if we're health qualified to be able to do this, or financial pre-qualification questions. And if you're a good match and the health looks good and so on and so forth, we'll take it further down the line and see what kind of plans are out there for you and if it makes sense for you to plan today, right?
Yep, exactly.
Let's see. Raymond says it's about trust, money, and they understand that it is about what benefit will be of value, even if it's not with a proprietary. Yeah, yeah, I understand where you're coming from, Raymond. Yeah, you also don't want to take every single possible referral partner, right? I think you also have to screen to make sure that you are dealing with a quality person who's not going to create nightmares for you, right? I think at the end of the day, we talk about I need to find more referral partners, but you don't want every referral partner, and you should have that sort of you know, sense of professional self-worth that you want to work with the right referral partners. So people who kind of are level with you on integrity and doing things the right way and what it actually takes in both of your minds to create good
Mhm.
client outcomes and a good experience at the end of the day. So I think you know, you will kind of know that intrinsically. You will hit it off with people when you start talking and you're like, okay, this person, sounds like we're pretty darn aligned in the way we do things and the way we conduct ourselves as business people. So,
Mhm.
I wouldn't overthink that, but I wouldn't underthink it either because
Right.
I think everybody's seen a bad referral partner. Yeah, go ahead, Diane.
Yeah. You made me think of something else too. Um, one of the difficult things for me is I work in 44 states. I live in Tampa, Florida, but I don't have a lot of clients in Tampa, Florida. So the referral partners I want are people that also work in multiple states because I'm not going to be a good referrer to an estate planning attorney in Tampa if 90% of my clients are in a different state. So
Sure.
I want to be acknowledgeable of what am I bringing to the table as well.
Yep. Yeah. Communicating your specialties is a big deal too. I work primarily in XYZ products, which are a good fit for you, Mr. or Mrs. Referral Partner, because these products are a good fit for XYZ components of your client base, right? That
Right.
helps you sort of campaign that, hey, this is gonna fit like a glove, or if it doesn't fit like a glove right away, I've got plenty of options in the toolbox that we can kind of help them through. So,
Hmm.
Hey,
anybody else?
yeah,
Yeah.
Jason, real quick, you mentioned the history of long-term care. You mentioned that kind of that educational component. Is there something in the Buddy INS catalog library of some kind of? I mean, yeah, I can kind of wing it along the way, but is there something structured that's been available, put together for that history? That short educational bullet points without winging it.
Um, I don't think we would I don't think I would say we have something that gives like the history of long-term care. Maybe one of us will write a textbook someday, but I really like in our marketing area the funding solutions piece. I think this one tends to be really, really good in just understanding the optionality of long-term care products that are out there. And it's not just going to be, you know, unapologetically optimistic about any of the products that are out here. It's going to give kind of the top features of the plans, but it's also going to give the limitations of each, right? So we're
Yeah.
we're showing like how is this a fit? How is it potentially not a fit, right? Here's
Hmm.
why you should look. Here's why you may look away, right? And it takes you through traditional short-term care. It takes you through hybrid extension products. It takes you through hybrid acceleration products. It takes you through chronic illness riders. It takes you through annuity long-term care, index annuities, even takes you through self-funding. This is an option. It is an option for long-term care. And the sooner you understand that, whether you believe it's a good or bad or part of your options, um, can really determine who you get introduced to too, right? And so I think this is a really good one. Hey, I'm not gonna spend 45 minutes going through every one of these options, but this handout will really help you kind of get a good understanding of what's available and maybe what's limiting about each of the options that are out there. So if you read through this and, you know, a light bulb goes off for one of these, I can help you explore that, right? So I think that's a really good one. But as far as the history, I think the history of long-term care, though it's good to be open about, of course. Like I'm always here to answer questions about the history and why we're here today. I think most folks just kind of want to understand the here and now, and if they want to know the history, they're probably, thinking of a certain stigma they have in mind, or I just read this article about long-term care that wasn't so favorable. Like, tell me about the history. Like, what led to this? Why is it healthy now? Right? But it's a good point. I can certainly talk to our team and
Hey,
see what we can kind of scrounge up for the history of long-term care.
hey, Jason.
What's up,
I know we're at
Gene?
the top of the hour. Hey, buddy. I know we're at the top of the hour, but one avenue I've had some success with is dealing with longtime clients that are now in their 80s and discussing with them power of attorney that the children should have to be able to, among other things, discuss with the carriers if they have to put a claim in for their parents or help them on that avenue. And as a result, first of all, it's enabled me to write their children, getting referrals there. But when the children and the family see what they've done to protect their estate, we've been able to get in touch with their estate attorneys to make sure they're aware of what the family has done there. And I've gotten quite a few referrals from these estate planners as well. So it's another avenue that I found it does work quite a bit when they see somebody that's got a policy coming closer to possibly needing it and what it's protecting, what it's doing for them. Just another way to go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's huge. I mean, you almost become your own referral partner in that way, or your clients almost become referral partners in that way, just by the nature of you having done a good job for a sustained period of time, right? We're finally seeing this through, and the family is understanding the positive effects of what you're doing and how you're stepping in to actually help. And it's nothing they would have seen at time of purchase, but now that they're actually able to see it up front, introductions come from that. And, I think referrals from family members you've done a great job helping are priceless, right? They are the best referrals out there because they don't just want their buddy down the street to know about you. They want everybody to know about you because you are a family friend at this point. I mean, you have helped in ways that they couldn't have imagined, right? So I think that's a really good one. And I think that's a super good one to end it on. Um, we are at the top of the hour. Really appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much for contributing, adding your best practices, asking questions where you felt you needed help. I hope you found this useful. Just remember, you are super, super referable as a long-term care specialist. You know more than 99.9% of the world in this area, and most people don't want to do what you do. So go out and find some people whose clients you can help and help more families today. All right? See you guys. We'll talk to you next week.